everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're exploring MuleSoft Vibes, the AI-powered assistant that helps you build MuleSoft APIs and integrations using plain English. In the next 10 minutes, I'll walk you through how to create your very first Hello World Mule application. In my previous video, I explained the complete setup process step by step. If you missed it, check it out using the links provided in the description section. Let's get started. Let's open MuleSoft Vibes and type in a simple prompt. I already have a simple prompt prepared. Let me paste it in so we can quickly get started. Create a simple Hello World Mule application with an HTTP listener on port 8081 that returns Hello World from MuleSoft Vibes in the response. Here, you'll notice two options, Plan and Act. Plan mode helps you understand and design the integration flow step by step, while Act mode automatically generates the actual MuleSoft implementation based on your prompt. I'll start with Plan mode first, so we can clearly visualize the difference before moving on to Act mode. The Plan mode begins by outlining the complete implementation approach, including a project plan for the Hello World Mule application, along with details like application type, response pattern, and overall design, the proposed project structure, key components required for the implementation details and flow logic, required configuration files. At the end of the planning phase, MuleSoft Vibes asks whether we are ready to move forward with Act mode to implement the plan. Since this is a simple demo and I don't want to overcomplicate things, let me switch to Act mode and continue with the implementation. Now, MuleSoft Vibes moves into the execution phase. First, it starts by creating the Mule application. Here, MuleSoft Vibes asks whether we want to use an organization template from Exchange, use a local template from a jar file, or create the application completely from scratch. For this demo, let's create the application from scratch. As discussed earlier, we'll continue with the default configuration options. Behind the scenes, through the MCP server, Agentforce starts compiling and validating the generated Mule application using Maven commands like mvn clean compile. Meanwhile, let's answer a few prompts and watch how the API gets created from scratch, all while we can continue working on other tasks in parallel. First, let's generate the flow based on the original request. We'll create an HTTP request-based application with a listener flow. Once we approve, MuleSoft Vibes proceeds with creating all the required base project files automatically. On the right panel, you can see MuleSoft Vibes gradually creating the project files one by one. The first file generated is the main Hello World XML flow file. It includes a basic HTTP listener along with a setPayload component to return the response message. Next, MuleSoft Vibes creates the global configuration XML file, which contains shared configuration settings that can be reused across multiple flows within the application. After that, it generates the pom.xml file and the remaining project files required for the Mule application setup. Once we approve, MuleSoft Vibes validates the basic configurations and setup required to deploy the API. Since I had an older version of Java installed on my system, Vibes prompted me with a recommendation to upgrade to the latest LTS version. So let's upgrade it and sit back while we watch the magic happen. At this point, I'm simply approving and saving the file changes as prompted. I've fast-forwarded the process a bit to quickly show you how the installation and setup can be completed in just a few clicks. Now the actual installation process has started, and you can see the basic Maven commands being executed to verify and complete the setup. After completing a few basic steps, the installation moved into progress. Although there were some issues during the setup, Copilot automatically identified and fixed them before proceeding with the final steps. While the setup is still in progress, I can see Copilot requesting access to GitHub. Let's sign in to GitHub and continue. At the same time, while the setup continues in the background, let's ask MuleSoft Vibes to help deploy the application to CloudHub 2.0. Agentforce has now started verifying the API and validating the deployment steps. It begins with the mvn clean compile command, which removes old build files and compiles the project source code to confirm that the application builds successfully. Once the compilation is completed successfully, Agentforce uses the MCP server to initiate the Mule deployment process. Agentforce initially couldn't find the required field name in the artifact JSON, but it quickly identified the issue and updated the configuration to continue with the next steps. One by one, Agentforce validates the Java version, Mule runtime version, and deployment configurations before moving to the final stages using commands like mvn clean install and mvn clean install dskip tests. These commands package the application and prepare it for deployment to CloudHub. Now let's head over to Anypoint platform and verify whether the deployment was completed successfully. The deployment is now in progress, and within a few minutes, Agentforce successfully deployed the API. We can now move on to testing the API and verifying the response. The public API URL can now be used as the host to test the endpoint, and the response comes back successfully. There are no logs included in the API to capture request details. Let's ask MuleSoft Vibes to add logging so we can display the resource endpoint for better traceability and identify which transaction was triggered. Earlier, instead of just 2 components in the flow, we now have 3: an HTTP listener, a logger, and a response payload. This addition helps capture request details and improve traceability. The application has been redeployed to CloudHub with these updates. MuleSoft Vibes has made the entire process of building, testing, and deploying the code feel seamless and straightforward through these guided prompts. If you enjoyed it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel MuleSoft Unleash for more updates. And don't forget, drop a comment if there's something specific you'd like me to cover in the next video.